and welcome to my channel. This is, I believe, the 15th or 16th story in the sequence. Yeah, this one I've cheated a little bit, I have to be honest, because what I've discovered is in cutting things down to exactly 1,000 words, I spend at least like half an hour to 45 minutes pruning, which generally does make the story better, but sometimes I get to the point where I'm pretty much beginning to lose some of what I like about the narrative just for the sake of the arbitrary 1,000-word thing. So where that does become a real problem, I'm just going to have to let it slide slightly. So this one's 96 words longer. Anyway, hopefully you'll still enjoy it. The 5 words this is based on are below. And the story is called An Equation for Happiness. Brother Palermo sat in the orangery, watching a miniature drama. 2 finches were fighting over a single sunflower seed. The sunflowers and the flowering plants that entwined the columns were a plentiful source of provender for bee, bird and butterfly alike. This bench was probably Brother Palermo's favourite corner of the whole monastery grounds. One of the 2 finches was trying to make off with the unwieldy seed, but couldn't quite hold it captive. The second bird, hopping in little circles around its fellow, would dart in and snatch it away. The first bird would then harry the thief with its wings until it fumbled the seed once again. Palermo stretched under the bench to find a second sunflower seed. His back ached from weeding the vegetable patch that morning, a habitual pain. Palermo's fingers located a seed and he gave it a flick along the balustrade like a Subutio ball. The seed bounced between the 2 birds and they stopped to eye up the surprise gift. As if shrugging off their former enmity, each bird snatched a different seed and they flew off together, spiralling into evening sunlight. Palermo was struggling with his book, A Life of St. Thomas Aquinas, which he was only 60 pages into with 700 to go. How could there be so much in-depth scholarship on a subject who had died 850 years ago? It made him feel inadequate and unlearned, and at 78 years old, there was insufficient time to remedy that. Palermo preferred to sit watching the finches and the bumblebees tumbling drunkenly around the flowers. There was much to be learnt here, he thought, sadly. Over the last 5 weeks, he had been falling into a despairing regret that he had never known the love of a woman. As a young man, he had felt a spiritual awakening at the tail end of a fever when he had seen the face of Jesus in the wooden footboard of his dormitory bed. The manifestation had convinced him that he was destined for holy orders. Now he wondered whether he hadn't simply hallucinated. Palermo had always believed in a simple equation for human happiness: a full belly, good book, sunlight and convivial company. God counted. Perhaps a glass of crisp Sangiovese. Now the mathematics of his happiness had gone awry, like Einstein spoiling things for Euclid. Lines that had been ineffably straight were no longer, and time was relative because Palermo had seen the face of a young girl called Emiliana. She bought groceries for the monks once a week. A slight, lithe girl with slender legs, brown arms and long, unruly red hair, she invariably wore long flowing dresses whose necklines were often daringly low. She couldn't be older than 19. Palermo felt both a flutter of excitement and a deep throb of shame whenever he saw her, which had become an almost weekly ritual. Palermo would sit on his favourite orangery bench half an hour before Vespers was called. Emiliana, how he loved those 5 rolling syllables, would push her bike up the steep path to the monastery gate, panniers bulging with provender. A bag or 2 more hung over the handlebars. She had learned to knock, because Palermo had asked her to, on the stout monastery gate. He would trot down the orangery steps as quickly as his sciatica would allow and let her in. She'd tell him the village news and gossip, and Palermo would tell her something amusing from the past week. This time it would be the parable of the finches. There it was, the rhythmic rapping of knuckles on wood. 30 seconds later he welcomed in miraculous Emiliana, the girl who had shaken his faith, not in God, but in his own life choices for the first time in 8 decades. Emiliana wiped her brow with the back of her arm. Palermo saw the little downy hairs there and noted a prickle of perspiration on her top lip. He wished he had a glass of water or a handkerchief to offer her. Alas, he had neither. "Afternoon, Brother Palermo. It's been a roaster," she said, resting her bike against the wall and starting to place the bags of groceries on the stone bench. "It has," said Palermo. "Let me help you." She was struggling to remove a bag of exotic fruit and glass bottles from the handlebar. Brother Jessop's cantaloupes, Friar Emery's cider. In assisting her, his forearm brushed hers. Heavenly, sacrilegious as it was to say, was the thrill of that touch. Emiliana thanked him and exhaled, looking a little tired. "I really can't stay to chat. I'll have to be off soon." "Oh," said Palermo, disappointed. "Off where?" "I'm going to my boyfriend's place in Verona. We're moving in together." Palermo sat down on the bench stiffly. "I didn't know you had..." Palermo let the sentence hang. "Oh, it's been very off and on. We're giving it a go," she said, eyes looking down. Out of guilt? No. She was looking at the groceries, of course. "Emiliana, I wish you all the very best. Let's toast your future." Palermo took a bottle of cider from the bag and, placing the edge of the stone bench under the cap, knocked it off with 2 sharp blows. Cider frothed over the rim of the bottle, and Emiliana laughed. Making eye contact, Palermo took 1 deep swig of the cool, crisp cider and offered the bottle to Emiliana. Her lips would touch the glass his own had encircled. "I really shouldn't. I have to ride this old rust bucket down the track." She seemed to be mulling over her own equation for happiness. Then she took the bottle. "What the hell? I am thirsty," she said, drinking deeply. Palermo didn't even mind her mild, unconscious blasphemy. Was it blasphemy to invoke hell to describe the pitiless heat of a summer afternoon? "Take it with you," he offered. A wry smile. "Won't you get in trouble?" "I'll say I dropped it." "Goodbye, Emiliana. I'll pray for your safe and happy journey." And he meant it. She turned her bicycle, gingerly got on, still holding the cider, cycling with one hand, but slowly, safely. He watched her glide forever out of his life, and let out a sigh that had been pent up inside him, seemingly for centuries. The bell for vespers rang. Soon he would be deep in chant with 38 other aging virgins. At least he had a revised equation for happiness. A full belly, a good book, sunlight, and the smile of a pretty girl. So there you have it. Quite enjoyed that one. Feel a bit moved, weirdly enough. Anyway, if you enjoyed that story and you're enjoying this whole concept of mine, please subscribe, please tell people, pass the word on, and I hope to grow the whole experience, and yeah, it's been fun. I shall see you soon. Bye bye.